What's up, guys? Welcome back to Newswave. Very quickly, if you are someone who enjoys watching the podcast, Spawncast, over the weekend, and you wanted to maybe get smaller clips of it because it tends to be sometimes kind of long, 2 to 3 hours, there is a new channel now called Spawncast Clips where we pick out different highlights and topics each week and upload them throughout the week from the latest podcast and then sometimes even older podcasts. Some of them will be kind of funny, others will be serious, of course, based around some of the topics. So go check that channel out if you are interested in seeing those clips. Today, we have a bunch of things to go over, which includes a big rumor, one that is becoming, I will say this after I've been able to talk to people, less and less of a rumor, but we're going to go over that because it does include Bloodborne. Yes, it's a big deal for a lot of people. And Nintendo put out an update pretty recently over the weekend, and it managed to fix a big issue because I had so many people messaging me about a problem they were running into when it comes to the eShop and adding funds to their account. As always, guys, if you enjoy these videos, make sure you hit that like button, helps out a ton. And if you're brand new here, hit that red subscribe button down below as we head towards 500,000 subscribers. And we're going to start today with several delays, specifically different events that we were looking forward to starting this week, which, by the way, this week was supposed to be E3 2020. It's weird to think about that now because normally we'd be super hyped today. It's Monday. We've probably got done some really cool thing on Sunday with like Microsoft and really getting geared up here to see all kinds of events. And we're kind of waiting for, I guess, the quote unquote not E3 to start next week or the week after with Sony pushing theirs back. But now we've had EA, as you can see, they put this statement out here. EA is pushing theirs to next week. They'll have it June 18th. That'll be 4 p.m. Pacific time. We also had the Guerrilla Collective event that got moved to June 13th. And then even IGN Summer of Gaming moved back to June 10th. So everything, got pushed at least a week. And we still don't know as of now, this recording, when the PlayStation reveal event will be. It could be this week, but from what we're starting to hear, it might even be the following week. Very strange year, right? 2020, absolutely. But hopefully we start getting rolling this week with some of these events, like the IGN Summer Game event, and then we go into, I guess, EA with Skate 4 or something. No, it'll probably be some other things, Madden, of course, and then the PlayStation event. But yeah, it's doesn't feel like E3 week. Also, Animal Crossing had been sitting on the top of the best-selling eShop games for a while now, like weeks. It's been a long time since Animal Crossing was not #1 on the eShop, at least until yesterday when you can see this. Benji actually pointed this out on Twitter. Minecraft Dungeons has dethroned Animal Crossing now. Of course, Animal Crossing probably had some slowing sales because it feels like everyone has bought Animal Crossing almost at this point, and the sales charts show that week after week. But Minecraft Dungeons has been very popular on the Switch, and that's from Microsoft. So it does make you wonder a little bit, right, about Microsoft and them looking at the Switch with some of their games, and then they see things like Minecraft do very well, and then Minecraft Dungeons do well. It's you never know with some of their stuff. I mean, even Cuphead did well, and Ori sold pretty good, I would say. It does make you wonder what else Microsoft might have lined up for the Switch. Oh, and we had talked previously about the possibility of Gran Turismo 7, showing up at the PlayStation event, and something interesting happened on June 4th, which would have been when the originally scheduled PlayStation event would take place. Some trademarks were filed, both of which relate to Gran Turismo. There was a Gran Turismo flat out, just straight up trademark for Gran Turismo, and then a logo was also trademarked, and this is leading a lot of people to believe that, there is some sort of Gran Turismo game coming, and maybe it would have been revealed on June 4th when that trademark was set to go public that was filed. That is very, very possible. I said that there was going to most likely be something Gran Turismo at the PlayStation event. I was kind of leaning that they would grab Gran Turismo Sport, maybe even rename it for the PS5 or just do some sort of patch, but I don't know. I'm kind of thinking they might have Gran Turismo 7 in some capacity, whether it's just a reveal for like the following year or a launch title. I think they want something to compete with Forza, and Gran Turismo is Sony's go-to. They don't have Drive Club anymore, seemingly, so that is going to be, I think, pretty fun to see Gran Turismo with some of the features they take advantage of with the PS5, because from what we're starting to see here, there's a good chance it'll be there. And guys, with some of the quick news out of the way, let's get into the bigger stuff. We're gonna start right away with what is a big time rumor right now that is starting to pick up quite a bit of steam online as more and more people start to kind of chime in with this, and it sounds more and more corroborated as we go along, but it has to do with Bloodborne. Now, Bloodborne is a really good game, but it's been kind of stuck on the PS4 with weird frame pacing issues, and it didn't get like any kind of pro patch that could have pushed it up to 60 frames per second. People have modified the game and gotten it there, but it was never official, and it's something people have really wanted, even asking if, hey, could this even go to PC, since now we see Sony doing things like moving Horizon Zero Dawn to PC. That is a game that could really use it. Well, it seems that some information is starting to come out, and it started strangely just on Twitter, as you can see here. This is from Slothborn. Now, what originally happened here was they had offered up a donation seemingly of $100 to charity if anyone at Sony would contact them with information around Bloodborne. And what's odd about that is you would think, okay, yeah, nothing's gonna happen there, but then they posted up, for those just joining me, yes, Bloodborne will be coming to PC. I've had it confirmed by a very trusted source, and I have a lot of faith in the company who's doing the port. You won't be disappointed, it genuinely is happening. And they go on to say, so about the Bloodborne PC port, you would have been hearing about it today anyway, because as far as I understand, it was due to be announced at the now delayed PS5 event that was scheduled for today. Now, this started to get people really, running rampant with this rumor right now, right? People were talking about it. It's Bloodborne, it's exciting. And then it kind of snowballed into the idea of it also being on the PlayStation 5. That was another part of it going around. From what I can tell and what I've been able to gather, it does appear that the PC rumor is more or less the one that's most likely, I'll say. Okay, so Bloodborne going to PC would be an exciting announcement, again, because the limits, the restrictions that are currently placed on the version on the PlayStation 4 would disappear, or should disappear anyway. We should have a fully running at least 60 frames, possibly more, depending, get 144 frames out of it on a really nice monitor, good video card, and all that. It'd be really cool to see that, right? That game is based heavily around timing and really perfecting your fighting and what you can do in the game to avoid attacks while also dishing out attacks. It is a very thoughtful game, we'll say. Very difficult, but it's generally your fault if you die. And the fact that it's locked at 30 frames with bad frame pacing can be pretty frustrating, we'll say, for that. Now, the other part about the PS5 reveal, it would be strange if they decided to reveal a PC port at the PlayStation 5 event. The only thing I can think of for that is that it's also going to get some sort of patch going to the PlayStation 5. I have to assume that is a game that will be supported by the PlayStation 5 for backwards compatibility, and I'm hoping that that means that they would have some sort of enhancement patch to take advantage of the much more powerful PlayStation 5. And then on top of that, others started to cover it as well. Nibble went ahead and posted about it, Wario64 posted about it, and then of course, Nate at Direct Feed Games posted as well on Twitter saying that there is some truth to it. And then on the podcast over the weekend, again, you can check that out on the Clips channel this week, mentioned that the PC port is most likely, and Sony will probably continue to carry that forward with their other games, and that I think, again, the PS5 version could just be a patch for the PS4 game that you may already own. It's exciting to consider Bloodborne really getting a massive upgrade just by going to PC and then the PS5, and here's hoping that they really do have it set for the reveal event in, well, who knows? Hopefully like a week or so. We'll see. It's really hard to tell, and I think even Sony's trying to weigh the options as to when to have this rescheduled PlayStation 5 event. Next up, let's talk about the update that Nintendo pushed over the weekend for the Switch. You may have turned your Switch on and it says, hey, you got to update to this newest system update firmware 10.0.4, and okay, that's fine. You download it. It seems like a small patch, and then you move along, right? Well, there was something going on with the eShop that I had so many messages about. I kept getting them, and I looked into it, and I noticed this myself, by the way, specifically with Xenoblade. I went to buy it digitally. I figure, okay, I'll grab it here because this is a game I'm probably going to be jumping in and out of quite a bit with other games, like Clubhouse games, for example. So I wanted to have these bigger RPGs like Xenoblade, at least at first, fully digital, so I can just jump in and out of them as I go. But I couldn't use my card. I can use my credit, debit card, none of that. It wouldn't work. And this is the problem that everyone was explaining to me on Twitter and email and others. And well, this is what that patch fixed. We have fixed the issue where it was not possible in some countries or regions to add funds using a new credit card or to register credit card information in Nintendo eShop on Nintendo Switch. That is obviously a problem. You can't add a payment option through a card to then buy a game. It's good to see Nintendo figured this out, because otherwise I had to use like PayPal to buy Xenoblade, and that ended up being a whole thing too. But it's good. It is strange that 10, like, have you noticed this? We've had a lot of updates from Nintendo in a pretty short period of time. Like, ever since firmware 10 came out, it seems like we've had a bunch of patches like every other week almost, as they look to fix and maybe clean some things up that were broken. And some people right now in the hacking community are even getting a little concerned that all of these updates right now for things like, okay, they have to fix like something for the eShop with the credit cards set up, and then there have even been really small updates around like the controller for the Pro Controller having that drifting. Nintendo is setting all of this up to then really hit the modding community in some way, specifically for that new device that seems to be starting to make the rounds. And Nintendo, of course, struck down different websites through lawsuits for resellers. So it's possible, but at least for now, you should be able to register and use a new credit card on the eShop. Next up, let's talk about the DualSense controller for the PlayStation 5, as a new patent was made public that shows pretty much the inside of the DualSense controller through a patent that has several diagrams and explains quite a few things about the controller. I might do a deep dive on this full patent because it is like pages and pages of text trying to see what all the features are on the controller. But if you take a look at some of these images, it does show how different parts of the controller work, such as the triggers on the back that are supposed to be those like adaptive triggers that will change tension, which is pretty cool. But something that a lot of people have started to point to is that they name not only one, but two microphones on the controller. And most likely the reason they have multiple microphones on that controller is to try to drown out any background noise, or basically noise of you using the controller, I think, rather than hear that and your voice when you are talking to people. And in order to do that, you have multiple microphones where one can kind of pick out some of the ambient noise, and then most likely there is also some sort of program or some algorithm set up to try to discern between your voice and what is around you at the time. And that's something that people were starting to realize is, well, if I'm using the controller and I'm running around and I'm hitting buttons and I'm using, the sticks, people who do Let's Plays a while ago would run into that issue where, I would have that picked up. Now, of course, we got more directional microphones and it kind of eliminated that problem, but it was something that was an issue. And now if you have the buttons and the joysticks like right next to the microphone, that would be an issue. So yes, we have multiple microphones on the controller. There were people who were concerned about one microphone. Okay, there you go. Now you have at least two to worry about. And to me, that also lends into the idea of there being some sort of AI assistant with the PlayStation 5, and that being one of the big features that I guess they'll also unveil at this event, or because they'll have multiple events, this event coming up could just be about the games, and then we'll get more into the features later, which would include what those microphones are really used for and other things about the controller. Also, something to note, these diagrams don't seem to give us one long, clear look at the back of the controller, which is still really, really strange to me. And in our last bit of news, let's talk about Dead Island 2. This is a game that will occasionally come up on podcasts that we'll do in the chat or even just in the comments. I see it. Dead Island 2 is a strange case right now when it comes to game development, and it gets even stranger because over the weekend, we had straight up gameplay leaked out online, but it's not gameplay for a Dead Island 2 that you'll probably end up playing. It seems to be an early build of, I guess, one of the canceled Dead Island 2s, because this game has bounced around between three different studios. It started with Jaeger. This was back in 2014, right? We saw it at E3. There was a pretty good trailer for it. It started with Jaeger, who did Spec Ops: The Line. Then it went to Sumo Digital, and now it's with Dam Busters. This is all Deep Silver moving this around right now, but the gameplay that was shown is certainly an early build. There are placeholder assets. There are some textures that just aren't there, but it looks like Dead Island, so it's interesting. This was confirmed by Eurogamer to be from Jaeger, their build for it, and most likely as it's shifted between studios, the gameplay, the visuals, a lot of things could change. But it is strange that this game has gone between several different studios, because what was shown didn't look like groundbreaking or crazy or amazing, but it looked like serviceable. It looked like Dead Island. I don't know. I mean, I'd look at that and I'd say, okay, yeah, that's Dead Island, all right. It didn't have, like I said, that wow factor there, but it's also an early build and it appeared to be just a section of the game, so it's hard to say where else they would go with it. But now I'm curious why it went from Jaeger to Dam Busters now as like the most recent studio. What has really changed doing that? And when will we ever see this game at all? Because it's been, what, 6 years or so since its unveiling, since we're technically in E3 week now? I assume this is a next-gen game and we might not even see it, provided it stays with Dam Busters until like 2022 or something. And we'll finish up with the comment of the day. As you can see here, this is from Michael saying, imagine if THQ Nordic became the one to revive Prince of Persia. That would be cool, but Prince of Persia, of course, is with Ubisoft. I would love to see THQ Nordic have tried that because they've been doing that a lot, right? The one thing I'll give THQ Nordic credit for is they don't look at an old franchise from what we've seen so far and said, how can we turn this into a games as a service and try to have it exist for like 10 years? They'll get a game like Sphinx, for example, they'll bring it up, they'll sell it, and they'll move on from there. They might patch it or whatnot, but they're not like, oh, let's slap a bunch of microtransactions, DLC, and all this stuff. You look at SpongeBob, and it seems like they did quite a bit of work to it, and it's not a full-priced game, and it seems like once again them trying to deliver the game that a lot of people played back in the day without any weird stuff on top of it to try to get more and more money out of you. So I'll give THQ Nordic credit there, and yeah, I would like to see them take a shot at Prince of Persia, but that's something Ubisoft's gonna have to figure out. And I really would rather Ubisoft look at Prince of Persia differently than like Watch Dogs or Ghost Recon, and just make a game out of it. Do what EA did with Fallen Order. Like, just make a straight up game that has a beginning and an end, and then you move on. And ladies and gentlemen, that's gonna do it here for Newswave. If you enjoyed this video, guys, hit that like button, really helps out. If not, hit the dislike. Leave comments down below about everything we talked about today, whether there's this massive Bloodborne rumor. Would you be really excited to see it announced just outright for the PC and it's like, oh, you can get it later this year or like holiday time? Or would you rather go to the PS5 so you could pick it up there at launch with a patch maybe? Also, what about the Nintendo update 10.0.4? Were you affected by that? Let me know about that down below. And then this whole Dead Island 2 thing, do you think it's ever gonna come out, or will it just bounce to another studio and then eventually be canceled? Thanks guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.